You're listening to the Live Out Loud podcast with River Wynn and Michelle Flamer.
Hi, River.
Hello, Michelle.
How is my sweet goddess friend?
Ooh, I
I
like that
know.
title, Goddess Friend. I
Yeah,
feel like I need a t-shirt that says Michelle's Goddess Friend.
I love that. Like we can make that happen. There's places like Etsy and what Z Z
Canva.
Canva. We can make some fun stuff up. I love that.
I'm good.
What's the topic today?
Yeah, so we decided we were going to talk about spirituality, but like through the lens of parenting, because we've both had recent readings with our dear friend Angela, who
Hmm.
does, intuitive readings, and mine is more recent. Mine was just a couple of days ago, but both of us have had readings where our kids came through
Which is
in our
really,
readings.
really trippy that we both had that. I don't know if it's an Angela thing right now where she's channeling, tapping into all that, but I thought that was pretty fascinating because we've had plenty of readings and never has the child come into it.
I've had readings with her where like my connection with my children has come through briefly of like, oh, this kid is maybe struggling with this, and this is your connection with this kid. Um, but it was fascinating how the kids came up this time because first of all, I went into this reading, I didn't really have and just for context, she'll ask, what's your intention for this reading? And
Mhm.
and mine, I often have a very clear intention for the readings with her.
Mhm.
Like I want to find out specific answers or get, clarity around a specific topic. But this time it was, I just kind of want to know what I need to know right now. What would serve me to know
Mhm.
right now? Because I don't have any big struggles that I'm trying to figure out or get answers to. So what do I need to know on this next, stage? And my kids came through. It
Mm.
was it was primarily about my kids. And what's so fascinating about that is everything that she told me about my children resonated so deeply for this chapter of life that I'm in. And so I'll share kind of what came through was that
Yeah.
she was able to see the soul connection that my children have
Mm.
and see that they have had many
With each
lifetimes
other.
with each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have had many, many lifetimes together.
That's cool.
Many. Um, and she even said in their most recent lifetime, that like their last lifetime together, they were also siblings in that lifetime, but they've had different dynamics throughout their history together. And they keep coming back together because they just have a soul tie.
Yeah.
And
That's
so it
cute.
was really cool to hear that, really cute to hear that.
Hmm.
And she said that, she was able to speak to what they are learning together in this current lifetime, which this current lifetime, their dynamic as siblings is to learn how to co-create out of love because they've had
Mm.
some like love-hate dynamics in the past. And I see that as a parent. We talked about how there's oftentimes as a parent of these two children, they can be at each other's throats sometimes.
For sure.
They can be best of friends on one day and they can be at each other's throats the next day, and there's no logic to it, and there's moments when they're in these times together without each other's throats, and um nothing I say or do seems to get through, and I have to
Mhm.
actually step back as a
Mm.
parent
Mhm.
and let them resolve it. And she said, it's so amazing that you do that because this is literally their work together. They have to
Right.
figure this out together. And it's so counterintuitive as parents, when our kids are arguing or having strife or conflict, it's so intuitive for us to want to step in and regulate and separate and teach in that moment. And I'm actually having to step back and let my children handle their shit together as human beings. And
That's
it's really cool.
it is really cool. Um, I love all that. So how are you going to sort of incorporate that going forward? Or how do you utilize that knowledge now?
First of all, it just really resonated in the way that this is something I've kind of observed with my children.
Yeah.
Um, And then another thing that came through that was interesting that really resonated was that my son in particular, his journey in this lifetime is to really establish his own identity separate from his relationship with his sister.
Mm.
Because in many of their life, if not most of their lifetimes, he has been her caregiver.
Oh,
And
that's fascinating. He's
isn't
over.
that fascinating?
He's
Yeah.
tired.
And he's kind of been in her shadow.
Mm,
And I see that in this lifetime where, my daughter is neurodivergent
mhm,
and she takes up a lot of space and energy, particularly for me as a parent, as her caregiver. And
mhm,
I see this dynamic happening where she takes up a lot of space, and he oftentimes is either helping to caregive her, and he's very good at it, or he's kind of getting left out. I'm not going to say
mm,
neglected because that's not the feeling that comes up with it, but it's it's like he takes a back burner. I think that
mhm.
is a good way to describe it. I can see that happening dynamically. And so in talking with Angela about his particular journey, he's here to really establish his own sense of identity.
Yeah.
And my job as his mother is to help him do that. And so what really was affirmed for me that is it's very important that um, I very intentionally spend time with my son doing the things that he loves to do and pouring into him and giving him the space and opportunity to shine in those
Mhm,
things and have it be separate from his sister.
mhm.
And when she told me that, it resonated so much because here I am. I spent the last 2 weeks, my son and I spent a lot of time picking out backpacking gear
I know. I was just thinking that.
because
Cute.
yeah, his request for this year was, Mom, I want to go backpacking with you.
So cool.
He loves the outdoors.
I
His
mean, that
sister
is a
does
gift.
not.
That is a gift he can take anywhere he is in the whole world.
Yeah, and and being a little Virgo, also he cares a lot about aesthetics. And so we spent a
Mm,
lot of time picking out his backpacking gear and he has it all color coordinated. And at 5 years old,
adorable.
he's like, I want a red backpack. And then I these trail shoes are red and orange and gray. And so I want my sleeping bag to also be red. And there's like it's
That's
just
so
he's all
cute.
coordinated. But when she had told me that about like really focusing in on making sure he's getting those times to like shine and set himself apart as a person, um, I was like, wow, that's already happening. I'm planning a backpacking trip with him and it's just me and him. And she was like, yes, keep doing that because that's what he needs. Otherwise, if he doesn't get to establish himself in this way,
Yeah.
he's going to call in a partner in the future that he's going to be caretaking his partner and have a love-hate relationship with them.
Now, isn't that nuts that you have the power, in essence, to facilitate the way that he will see and love going forward? I mean, obviously, we all know that
Yes.
because hello, ancestor and parental, generational trauma. But the
Yeah.
fact is, you're curing something massive and healing this space within him
Yes.
that he's unaware of at the moment.
Yeah, my job as his mother in this lifetime is to give him the space and permission that he gets to take care of himself
So he can pick the
first.
best, coolest partner for him based on healthy, healthy knowledge,
And
healthy
yeah, and
how he,
what's fascinating about that in this context is
yeah.
he tells me all the time that he's not going to have children.
Oh,
And when I
interesting.
ask him why he doesn't want to have children, from curiosity, he says, because children are hard to take care of. And he loves other people. He has this
Yeah.
huge heart and he loves to pour out. And I'm like, okay, I think he knows that his journey here on this lifetime is to learn to take care of himself first and not just always pour out for others.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it
Uh-huh. I like that.
was a cool insight.
It is really cool. I mean, I basically was, with Angela, I was just seeking clarity on job and love, and Kaden
Hmm.
popped up. I mean, like I said, she rarely will pop up, but for some reason, and I have my notes in front of me, Angela said, like, because she's such a mirror for me, and which
Mm,
which, as you know, like last year when I was getting her ready for camp, I had this whole aha moment around my mother
Mm,
abandoning me 3 days, two days before I was going to go to camp. And I ended up having to wash all of our laundry for my brother and I, my little brother and I
mm,
at the time, and where I was finding pure joy in getting her ready for camp and really ensuring that she knew, like, we went through the list and all the things so that she knew where everything was in her bag. So she knew what I packed, all
mm,
of her name tags on there, all of that sort of stuff. But basically, it's like this texturized growth within our dynamic. And
mm,
it's for both of us where taking her like that teenage angst that's kind of happening right now
yeah.
is going to like bring up stuff for me around my teenage years, but
Oh, wow.
also recognizing that like just now, tomorrow she has a birthday party for this tea and it's like pastel formal and I'm trying to
Mm.
ask her, what do you think pastel formal looks like? Because I just want to understand, like I was like gonna tell her, go online and show me what your vision for it is. And I said, so I pulled out some things and like I have bow ties and she's into bow ties and I just want her to feel her most comfortable self because
Yeah.
what, I didn't feel my most comfortable self in those days. Like
Yeah.
my mom was like, no, this is what you're wearing to the birthday party at
You're
that.
getting to show up for your kid in the way that you needed your parent to show up for you.
Exactly. I'm like, hey, how does this feel for you? And she was just like, I feel good about this. I go, okay, cool. Her hands
Mm,
are a little bit big, but no one's going to care. She's going to be sitting at a table the whole time. I think,
hmm.
the fact that she'll have her little floral, she just, if she's happy, I'm happy, right? Like,
Yeah.
so so basically within our connection and within this relationship, it's like she said it's like hyperseeding me, like I'm up leveling in
Hmm.
such a fast way around this, and that it's like I'm either going to bleed out or it's going to like love life. Like it was either sort of like be stuck and not grow within this, or it's going to really like speed up this major manifestation
Mm,
that's going on within me right now. And she also said like lately that I've been astral traveling a lot and that I'm going and looking for my my soul family up above.
mm,
Like I'm traveling to that because I'm sharing what I'm learning and I'm like excited about it and that's what's helping me to like, go more. The other thing around like travel, she told me specifically Thailand, Bali, and Japan, which Japan we tried to go
yeah.
to twice during COVID and we got booted out both times. But Kaden, that's her number one place she wants to go. So I was like, whoa. And I've always thought Thailand was really neat and Bali, of course, but that those are places that expand Kaden and I
Wow. Both of you.
so that we're supposed to travel to those places
Mm,
together. And I keep telling her,
wow.
we're going to do a bigger trip next year. And so
Yeah.
I'm probably going to do one of those places for that reason. And that the fact is, the two of us traveling together, no outside people around, like it's just her and
Hmm.
I doing a big trip like that, that there's going to be a whole bunch of like learning about one another and how we show
Mm.
up for each other and building like this really fortified relationship based on respect and connection
It's a
and I
huge bonding opportunity. You know,
huge bonding
you're taking yourselves and putting yourself in a completely different environment and who knows what can happen when you go to a new environment and it gives you the opportunity to see each other in new light. It's
completely.
so cool.
It is. It's really cool. So that's what that's basically what she was really saying was that all of these things with Kaden in the next few years are really about us um up leveling each other and how
Mm,
she's just this beautiful, she chose us
Mhm.
100%. She definitely chose me. Like I was an important part of why she chose me. And it's really fascinating how it does play out that way in a lot of different ways
Mhm.
every day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
Angela spoke to that for me with the kids too,
yeah,
about choosing the other parent and I as parents.
yeah.
Um, and it was very intentional because
Mhm.
their choice of me as a mother was because I have the capacity
Mhm.
and the self-awareness and the ability to provide them the space that they need to be nurtured and to integrate the things that they're learning in this lifetime because they are big energies, they are big souls.
Yeah.
And the other parent triggers their growth.
Mhm.
And so there's this dynamic happening where they go the other parent and things happen that trigger them to grow and learn together as siblings,
Mhm.
to look out for each other, to support each other with love. And then they
Mhm.
come home to me, and I'm their safe space to integrate, to be nurtured, to feel the feels, to be their unique individual self. So they're like, with the other parent, they're working as a team. And then they're
Mhm.
with me, they're their individual selves and
Mhm.
learning stability in that way. And so, she was,
I
the
love
divorce
that.
is so intent, the divorce was so intentional because they need that balance for their soul
Mhm.
journey. They need
Mhm.
that. And so that's why they chose you. But then also what was so cool was that two things. First of all, really fast, my daughter, we talked about the neurodivergence. And
Yes.
this is something like I personally believe, and a lot of people may not agree with this because of science or whatever, but I believe in science as well. Like, so don't, I just want to caveat that this is a personal belief.
Don't come with hate mail.
Yeah, this is a personal belief.
Yeah.
As someone who is neurodivergent and the parent of a neurodivergent child, and also someone who's spiritual, I truly have this belief that people who are neurodivergent are more evolved souls. I truly believe that.
Mm.
And that our human bodies and our human society just isn't evolved to the space where we have the capacity to hold the understanding of that.
Well, to that point, because I think you're absolutely correct, because I will say my interactions with Ivy, she blows me away every time. And give me someone with a little different perspective in there, and they're just built that way. Like for for my Aquarian friends, like Kendra and I, like we
Mm,
fucking take a whole other approach with one another.
yeah.
Like I'll send her videos that no one else gets. Like there are
Hmm.
just because the way that our weird Aquarianness kind of holds space for these types of energies, which is why
Hmm.
I think I dig my ADD, my neurodivergent, my ND friends, because I love the fact that you especially, Rev, because I mean, I talk to you the most. You're one of my closest friends and your
Hmm.
chosen family, but I love the fact that you have a unique perspective, and
Hmm.
it it's not a dumbing down thing whatsoever. It's like
Yeah.
this is just the way my brain works. And like
Hmm.
learning your friend, learning your chosen sister, like, and then your daughter is so magical,
So magical.
so
So
kind and
her
loving.
soul,
Oh,
Angela did a reading with her one time and told me that she's never met another soul that has so much pure white light.
right.
Just she's a very evolved soul.
She mirrors my positive energy with her,
Mm.
like beautifully.
Yeah, and so she's here in this neurodivergent form too, because she's also a manifester in human
Yeah.
design, with this big, beautiful energy to learn how to use her gifts and to be okay with showing the world how to
Hmm.
do things differently and how to up level and leading the way. And
Yep.
that's a conversation she and I have all the time where at school it's a lot of masking at school because she doesn't want to be seen as different and
Hmm.
now coming to a space where she feels it's a beautiful thing to be different and
Yeah.
setting and leading the way because in her doing that, it's helping other kids to feel like they can be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
She is a leader. All of her teachers tell me all the time, you know, everyone loves her. Everyone loves her. She is, the brightest face in the classroom, and everyone gravitates to her, and she's a leader. And so her journey here and my journey as her mother, is to create space for her to be herself in a very
Her whole
authentic
self.
way, her
Yeah.
whole
Well,
self.
I feel like when you guys did the video with the coffee, I felt like she was so amped about it. Like, I feel like
Yes.
you guys need to do more collaboration in that way because her creative process is similar to you. I can
Yeah.
tell. Not only that, I have never seen her look and feel more confident than when she was doing that with you.
So one of my jobs, Angela told me, is to really help her develop her spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
And we've been having a lot of conversations lately that my daughter has initiated around energy reading.
Hmm.
And she can read energy very quickly.
Yeah.
She's very good at it, very adept at it. And so, really, the conversation lately has been teaching her how to use that appropriately to, help other people, to be someone who creates safe space for other people.
So,
And
and being an empath, it's probably really hard for her at school because
uh,
she feels everyone's energy all day long
yes,
and,
so it's
and may not,
exhausting.
right, and may also, and you're just barely starting to understand her gifts.
Hmm.
So teaching her that not everyone's energy needs to come home with you, how to
Hmm.
protect your energy in those moments, and
Hmm.
also recognizing that where she puts her energy, like if a kid is just really struggling and has never been mean or ill spirited towards her, that it's okay for her to say, hey, I see you and I know your struggle. But someone
Hmm.
who's like just a jerk or a bully, like for
Hmm.
her to be able to not want to fix that too.
Yeah. And so, really, my job as her mom is to um, safeguard her
Yeah.
and teach her the tools. So, like, we recently had an episode where she got suspended at school for the first time. And it was, quite frankly, a very bullshit situation that I'm
Yeah.
still ongoing dealing with administration. And her actual teachers were upset with me that it happened because the right people were not involved in the scenario that happened. Um, and so, but really, it was a catalyst moment because it really gave me the opportunity to go to bat for my child.
Hmm.
And because administration was essentially taking this kid who just didn't fit into this normal scenario and labeling her as a bad child, it gave
Right.
me the opportunity and her support team to say, wait, no, hold up. Hold up. We failed her as the adults because she needed support in a certain area and we were
Yep.
not noticing it and we were not
Totally.
paying attention to it. And it's causing a ripple effect where now the school is having to step up their game, not only for my kid, but for other kids who are
Totally.
neurodivergent. And so telling my daughter, this thing that happened, yeah, it didn't feel good, but it gave us the opportunity to really pave the way for some change. And not only for you, but for other kids. And she was able to see that and
My
really take that to
question
heart.
My question to you here is what are you learning about yourself in those moments?
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of came up in the reading too, was that, I have this really,
I mean, you're a mama bear. You're a mama
I'm a
lion.
mama bear.
Totally.
Don't mess with a Taurus mom. Just
Hmm.
just don't poke a Taurus mom in the wrong
Exactly.
spot.
You got the horns going.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but so twofold for me, being this fierce advocate for my daughter and being this safe space for my son to have his own identity is healing so much of my inner child because no one did that for me.
Mm.
I wasn't allowed to be myself. And
Hmm.
I didn't have the support as a neurodivergent child or even a diagnosis that would have helped me in so many ways.
Because you grew up in a cult. I mean, like,
Exactly. I mean, I also grew up still like, in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
hmm.
Most girls were still being, misdiagnosed, or if they were diagnosed at all. And um, I was also homeschooled. So, so much about my children's experience is very healing for me as a parent.
Yeah.
But then the second part of this is that what really came through in this reading was that um, the divorce was so necessary for my journey and their journey because my path in life, my journey in life has is kind of two parallel journeys, or
Yeah.
not parallel, but two journeys happening. I have mother,
Yep.
and then I have my soul purpose in life, my
Mhm.
higher self, my calling.
Yep.
And those two things deeply conflict, deeply, deeply
Mm.
conflict and butt heads because mothering for me with these children is so intensive and
Mhm.
requires so much from me
Yep.
that it doesn't leave much space for the other part of my journey.
Mhm.
And there's an ebb and flow with it of like sometimes I have more capacity for one than the other, or my focus is being called towards one for the other. And so, one of the things I had kind of gone into this reading with the intention of was, I'm in this space where there's a lot going on with my children. There's a lot going on with my children's other parents and our co-parenting and just that whole dynamic. But I feel good. I'm at peace. I'm in a good place. I have so much clarity and vision around what my purpose is, my calling, like my higher calling, right? And I love coaching people. I love being creative. I love doing all of this. But I'm not in a space of life right now where I can really take that in the direction I want to
Mhm.
because I just don't have capacity because motherhood is taking up so much of my space and my time right now.
I just find it fascinating that for my journey into the love that I want
Mm,
is because of my relationship with Kate.
mm-hmm.
Like that's so those pieces, whether it's creating more patience around the tween, I mean, she's going to be 13 in September.
Yeah.
It's a whole new ball game now. Like I'm not dressing her anymore. I'm not even
Yeah.
her clothes. Like, it's such a different relation. And the fact is, she is so freaking smart
Yeah.
that I can't even bullshit her anymore. Like I can't. I can't even try to pull a mom move, right? Whatever that looks like. And I know every mom will fucking laugh right now because
Yeah.
we still try to like, whether we're negotiating with our children,
Oh,
whether,
like the day when my son wanted a very particular popsicle from the store, but they're really expensive and I didn't want to buy them. And
yeah,
so I just had to tell him they were out of them and I got a different popsicle. And that works
for now.
for now.
Right. I mean, the fact is, it's like, I even have to be careful. Like if I text you, Ivy reads now. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's
Oh,
certain things
yes. Uh-huh.
where she'll see stuff and I have to be like conscientious of that in case your like phone is sitting out or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's just these different levels of
Yeah.
where they are and really and
And how they
again like
need us.
and the other part of it is also looking at them kind of like what we were speaking to where they are shedding these new skins. They're different, like us loving them
Yes.
within every change that is coming their way.
Our children, and I think this is such an important thing we should talk about for a moment. I think so much conflict in parenting comes from this place where people feel like they are responsible for their children's journey. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to make a distinction, not life, not responsible for their life, because we are responsible as caregivers for their life and their well-being. But parents, a lot of parents come from this place of feeling like they're responsible for their child's journey and
Right.
protecting them from pain and protecting them from experiencing and
Yep.
all of that. And the reality is that our children are not little extensions of us. They're their own person, their
Like
own
almost saying a mini
soul.
me, like, oh, she's such a mini me, or he's such a mini me.
Hmm.
It almost does them a disservice because they're
Yes.
not. They,
Yes.
yes, they might resemble you because you gave birth and there's DNA pumping through,
Yes.
but they are not mini me's.
My daughter gets very mad because we look very, very much alike.
You do look alike. I
It's
mean,
like
for
copy
real.
paste.
It
And
is.
people tell her that all the time. And they're like, oh, you look just like River and your mom. And she gets really upset about it. And we were talking about the other day. She's like, Mom, I'm not upset because I don't think you're awesome and beautiful. She's like, I like that we look a lot alike because of that. She's like, but it just makes me mad because people act like I am you, but I am my own person.
That's exactly right. Like
Yeah.
that's but for her to say that at that age shows her depth and her understanding of all
Yeah.
of that, which is so
Yeah. And
cool.
so really just, if as parents, if we can shift our parenting from a space of um this is my child and look at it as this is a person. This is a soul here on their journey, and I am here to be a part of their journey,
Mhm.
but I am not responsible for their entire journey.
What
You're a
is
co-creator with them. Like
yeah.
you're a facilitator. I think of myself less as a parent and more of a facilitator and a guide because my children are co-creating their own lives.
Hmm.
And while yes, I have like at home we have boundaries, we have rules, we have expectations for the way we treat other people and using our tools and things like that. Ultimately, their experience of their life is going to be shaped by how they interact with their life. And I can do my best job to give them the tools, but at the end of the day, it's their journey.
Totally. I'm actually trying to figure out the word where, let's just say you're a lighthouse keeper and you're
Mm,
taking and protecting the lighthouse.
hmm
What is the term that is meant that you are just making like create like just making sure that the lighthouse lives more years, that it's taken care of. Like there's
Caregiver, you're a,
there's that's not the word,
no?
but I'm gonna Google it. So you just
Okay.
talk for a second. So
Yeah,
I
I
want to
really do like, you know, and I think looking at it from that perspective of like taking yourself out of this just role of just being mother or just being father, being parent, and
mm-hmm.
thinking of yourself more as like a guide, a facilitator. Um, it puts you in this space where it helps you, it helps relax this idea that like a lot of parents have that we are somehow going to be solely responsible for our children's outcome of life.
Yeah.
And that's not true because we are not always going to be the ones right there helping them with everything and showing the way and with them every single step of the way. And so, um, you know, this concept of like, I don't want my child to have trauma or I don't want my child to like think I was a bad parent. And there's so many people who stress out so much about that.
Mhm.
You know, if you can look at yourself as a facilitator of your child's life and a caregiver, I really think it can help you relax around the idea that you're going to fuck up your kid's life. Because the
Mhm.
reality is, if you are giving your child a safe home, if you
Mhm.
are emotionally available to them, if they are fed, they are clothed, and you are actively giving them the tools that they need to learn,
Mhm.
you are quite literally doing the very best job that you can.
Mhm.
And at a certain point, they're also the co-creators of their life.
Yeah,
And how they choose to use the tools that you give them is up to them.
I
And you
can
don't get to control their outcomes.
I cannot find the word, but it really means like to just ensure that that beautiful building will still be there. Like you're just like even with animals, like we're just taking care of them in the space and then they go away.
Mm.
But like I cannot think of the word. It's bugging me, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's not coming to me either, but I'm sure we'll figure it out later.
I know. I figured if I gave you enough of it, that the word would pop out. But I'm, darn it. Oh well.
Yeah,
I just
and
think it's just. I mean, it is part of a caretaking type of
yeah,
scenario. It's just a cool
yeah.
word, honestly.
It is, it is. And one of the things that came through for me with my reading as well, this reading in particular was so intensive. There was so
Yeah.
much that came through. But speaking to love, because you kind of brought up, part of yours was like speaking to relationship and love, and this kind of came through for me was that so I'm in the space of life right now where I said, like I have so much clarity and vision around like how I want to create my coaching business and how I want to show up creatively in the world. But I've been struggling with the how
Mhm.
and feeling overwhelmed and realizing and talking with Angela that right now in this space of my life, like I said earlier, I don't have the capacity to
Mhm.
do more than I'm currently doing.
Mhm.
And right now the focus is mothering because right now my children are she was like, imagine a pie, like a pie chart. And she was like,
Yeah.
most people are integrating lessons and learning at like a 10% on a daily basis.
Totally.
And she said, right now, your children are at an 80%.
Mm.
She was like, you're at 10%. You've brought yourself back down to a 10%, but your children are at an 80% right now.
Mm.
And they need safety, security, and stability.
Yeah.
And right now, she's like, you've created safety, security, and stability. So right now, you just have to be. And my guides were like, we just want you to be right now.
Right. And how does that make you feel in that moment?
And I was immediately a little bit mad. And I had to
Right.
like sit back and be like, oh, but I don't want to just be.
Right. 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 So the word, I found it.
Oh, you found it. What is it?
It's like steward or a custodian.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
we're
custodian.
like, yeah, like we're just literally like we're just making
Space
sure.
holders.
Yeah, we're a steward of
Yeah.
our kids. Like we're like the dogs too, like our animals and
Yeah.
everything. Like we're just nurturing and loving them while they're here on this earth. So we're
Yeah. We don't own them.
no,
We
we
don't
don't
own
own
them.
them. Exactly. I mean, it usually
Yeah.
with like a steward of the land or a steward of the castle
Yeah.
or whatever historical thing. But
Yeah.
children are also that way. They come into our life, and yes, we are basically their custodians. They're stewards. We're their keepers. We're their warden. We're their whatever
Yeah.
those kinds of terms. But genuinely, I that's why I really lean into Kaden telling me what she needs. I really
Yeah.
trust her gut around saying this doesn't feel good for me. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the younger we can get them to feel safe,
Mm.
and when they say that from an early age and your parent says to you, I believe that that's true for you. I mean,
Believing our kids. Here's
right.
an example of that. So this, the current struggle I'm having with the school administration over her suspension, and we're currently going through and redoing her IEP to include some
Yeah.
more services that are needed. And a service I had asked for was that if my daughter is having a hard day and feels like she needs to go home, and she's asking the teachers to be able to call me or reach out to me and asking to go home, that they provide her with a phone call to me and I
Yep.
get to make a decision if she comes home. And the vice principal immediately was like, well, I don't want to do that because that sets a bad precedence. And, then what if she just wants to skip math and then she's coming home all the time and her attendance is plummeting? And I said to him, you know what? First of all, this shows me that you don't understand my daughter because my
Yep.
daughter loves school.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter loves her friends, her classmates, her teacher. She wants to be at school. She doesn't want to leave school. So if my daughter is having a hard enough time at school during the day that
Mm-hmm.
she is asking to call mom and go home, I trust that. I
Mm-hmm.
trust that is my daughter understanding her needs and not her trying to skip it on doing something because she loves school.
Like if it becomes an everyday thing, then of course, then you're going to already like, hey,
Right.
trust the parent that I am. Give me the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt that I'm going to squash that also. You know what I
And
mean?
so I said to him, I said, you know what? I need your help here because I'm trying to teach my neurodivergent child who's in a neurotypical classroom to understand her needs and make choices for herself and teach her to trust her body wisdom.
Yeah.
And so I need you as the school administrator to help me teach my child to trust herself by
Yeah.
giving her the space to call mom and let me as her mother make the decision whether she should come home or not.
Empowering our children to ask for what they need from an early age
Mhm.
is huge because they
Huge.
will already go through the hormones and the tweens where
Mhm.
they don't feel so secure, and there's maybe some are still scared of the dark.
Mhm.
They have social awkwardness.
Yeah.
Even as much as you empower your child, like getting them to order what they want off a menu early on
Mhm.
helps to teach them about their voice and asking for what they want, and not looking at us and saying, "Mom, I just want that hamburger." Blah, blah, blah."
Mhm.
But like saying to the waitress, or I mean the server, "Hey, this is what I want, blah 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 blah," and then
Mhm.
letting the server ask them, and then feeling empowered to be able to ask for what. I mean, those are just the small ways that people can actually start. Us, like, I have to give examples like
Yeah.
that are actionable. I think
Yeah.
it's one thing to share our stories, but another thing to like give some
Yep.
actionable things.
Actionable ways of doing that. And one of the things I do as a parent is I deeply involve my children in my spiritual practices if they want to.
Yeah, yeah, you
It's their
don't force
choice.
them.
As someone who grew up religious, being forced to go to church every Sunday morning, which a lot of people still do.
Yep,
And there's an expectation that the parent's belief system is going to be adopted by the child, and there's no flexibility or room for that. And
totally.
so for me, as someone who's deeply spiritual, I do my spiritual thing, and my kids witness it. And if they want to be a part of it, that's their choice.
Well, I think having a live out loud kind of spiritual practice, like you
Yeah.
said, they're not like ashamed of it.
Yeah.
You don't close the door and that's my private time. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, doors open. I'm like, this is where I'm going to be for 20 minutes, you guys. If you want to sit down quietly next to me, the only thing that I ask for is that you don't actually actively like want to talk to me and ask me tons of
Hmm.
questions so that I can just focus on this for a little bit, but inviting them in. And if they want to, otherwise, enjoy your Legos, enjoy a puzzle,
Hmm.
enjoy your iPad for 20 minutes, whatever that looks.
Yeah.
But them seeing it normalizes it.
Yes.
And
So
then
much.
they see the difference between maybe how before you sat down, what you kind of look like they're so sensitive to our energy,
Yeah.
and then how you felt after, how they see and feel you after that, where you're like, okay, well, who wants breakfast? Who wants lunch? Like whatever that means, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's been times where it's like my kids are having a hard morning, and it kind of makes me feel on edge. And instead of saying to them, "What is wrong with you this morning?" Like, what is
Right.
wrong with you? I sit down and I do breath work.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm doing that and I'm regulating myself,
Yeah.
they feel that. And then they
Yeah.
start to like, I'm doing breath work, and my son goes and puts on Cosmic Kids yoga on the iPad and starts doing some yoga on his own.
I love him.
And so, that's, for me, spirituality is a tool,
Yeah.
and giving our kids those tools. But going back to I just wanted to finish up that little love thing that came through,
Mm-hmm.
was that right now I'm in this chapter where my kids are at such a high level of integration and shifting right now
Yeah.
that there's no space. There's no space for relationship with anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Right.
Angela told me, she was like, when your kids are at a lower level of integration and there's more calm and stability within them, it will create space for someone to come in.
That makes so much sense, honestly, especially when you're dealing with two kids,
Yeah.
because your energy is being pulled in a lot of different ways there.
Yeah.
And then add on more kids, you can imagine these moms, like, no wonder they are having a hard time, or not just being able to show up at all, and having a challenging time around the dating piece. But I think that's a marker for you being a great mom, in that sense, because it's not like you're putting yourself on, notice or anything, or you're
No.
taking it off the chopping block. It's more just like it maybe did it relax you a little? Did it kind of like allow you to sort of surrender to the fact that this is what life's about and some lessons are being learned right now that don't involve an extra person?
Yeah, it was interesting because it was really affirming for me that like, okay, that, my guides were like, be still, be present. Everything, like literally the message was everything you're doing right now currently is allowing you to be on your highest timeline. This is where you need
Yeah.
to be. This is what needs to happen. Just be. And knowing that right now, I'm not the one who is going through all the huge lessons and integration and struggle right now. My children are. And
Right.
so there's a piece to it of like, okay, right now my focus is like to provide that safe space for them. And I'm good right now. And this is a teaching moment for them. And I get to be at peace. And I also get to fill my own cup on the weekends when I'm solo on myself by myself without kids around. And just know that this is not a forever chapter.
Oh,
This is
completely.
a chapter.
I
And
mean,
I get to relax into that. Like there is
Mhm.
an easiness to that of like, and I think this is why the readings with Angela have been so helpful over the last couple of years, especially is like everything that came through, I was already kind of cognizant of it, but it gave it a name and it gave
Yeah.
it an understanding. And the things I was already feeling and sensing into became tangible.
I think
You
for me,
know, yeah.
for me, and I think this will resonate for you, I call it like an affirmation, affirming, that space. Like it
Yeah.
affirms like a baseline of where we are
Yeah.
now. And I think when you
Yeah.
work with someone, one person, you don't just jump around to like spiritual guides and shamans and all this type of stuff. I think when you do get to lean in, like being on this particular reading with her, she was like, you have leveled up
Mm.
so much since our last
Mhm.
reading. Like she gets to be our witness to our growth
Yes.
in
Yeah.
our spiritual practice. Because I
Hmm.
was noticing, and I do notice now that when I take a 15-minute power nap, whether it's the intention is to literally just conk out and just, because I'm so tired,
Hmm.
whatever. And I'm more tired these days. And she said that's because I am literally working like I'm leveling in a way, and my energy
Hmm.
is connecting to all of that. So the fact is that I can get into a meditative state faster. She was like, holy moly, like
Hmm.
when I was tapping into you, you were already there. Like you're already like,
Yeah.
what's up? Like I'm already up in here. Whereas
Yeah.
before, I really remember like I would really like try to stay in it, and then I just kind of go blank, as opposed to now I'm like I go right into my third eye and I can
Uh-huh.
see things there. There's a little bit different colors. It used to be all gold. Now there's like a few different colors in there, but
Yeah.
it's still me like getting happy because it's my soul family and they have this particular look to them, like a
Yeah.
cartoon fish in a way. Like there's just these, and they smile, and it's like this most beautiful. I don't know. Maybe it's how it makes me feel. You know what I mean?
You know what I think is so important about these readings? And I think I will say two things. First of all, I'm very particular about who I will have readings with, whether it's tarot, whether it's intuitive, whether it's like chakra touch-ins and things like that. I'm very particular about who I will go to.
Hmm.
Um, it's a feeling for me. I have to feel like that person is very very rawly and authentically tapped in. There's just a
Hmm.
feeling to it. But then, second of all, throughout my journey over the last 2.5 years, since I started having readings with Angela, it very much has felt like I'm a I'm a very intuitive person, and my intuition has deepened, and I'm able to see and feel a lot of things for myself. But sometimes it's really nice to have someone else be able to tap into your journey
Yeah.
and affirm for you where you are at on your journey, because every time this happens, it it doesn't surprise me. I'm like, oh yeah, that resonates. That
Well, that's the
resonates.
beautiful thing though about Angela's gift, right? Like she does not say anything that isn't 100% resonating and core. And like
Yes.
divinely given. Like she's not going to just blow smoke up your ass. She always finds a positive messaging within it,
Yeah.
but it's still like if you
She
are
gives it to you real. It's
she does.
real.
She's super legit real. Like hey, you're going through it right now. I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, let me show you. This is how it's showing up. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
not like saying it's gonna get better. Like, because we've had those readings where it's like it's not gonna get better right away until you
Oh.
do X, Y, Z.
I mean, I know that like I had a reading with her last year where it was, or end of last year where it was
That
like
one was a doozy.
I came away so frustrated because it was like, yeah, no, you're not having a partner anytime
Nope,
soon.
nothing's
No,
happening. Nothing's coming your way.
like not
Nope.
even remotely. Nope. Mm-mm. And it was just like, fuck.
Mhm. It's so funny.
But, at the same time, yeah, I felt frustrated about that. But looking back, it resonated at the time because I could feel, okay, I've had this very intentional time where I've had these very intentional dating experiences and they've served a great purpose, but now it's a different chapter. I've
Mhm.
learned those lessons, and right now there's another chapter that's in a different area and different focus, and love is not the focus. Relationship is not the focus of healing and growth right now.
Yeah.
That chapter will come, but I'm
Yeah,
in a different chapter right now. And
I
so
know.
looking back, I'm like, okay, yeah, that was, you know, spot on.
It is. And again, the next reading, you'll be in another new chapter because
Yeah.
we are evolving human beings learning these lessons and
Yeah.
being open to learning these lessons. Oh, we learn them fast and we move through the shit and then so that we could get to the next lesson. Like,
And if we can teach our children that,
yes,
what a powerful tool.
I
That
know.
that roadblocks and struggles are really a catalyst moment
That's
for
it.
growth. That's what
That's
it
it.
is. And that if we
That's
can teach
all
our
it
children
is.
that, what a gift to give our kids.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, I love this conversation. It's so
Me too.
fun. I mean, I get excited for my kid, it's like I
Yeah.
genuinely am like, I just want to make sure that you have these beautiful tools when you're off to college or and just enjoying life that you know that therapy is okay. Having a spiritual
Hmm.
practice is a-okay. Having believing in something bigger than yourself,
Hmm.
knowing that you have a voice and that what you say is important and that you're a valued member of not only our family unit but also the extended family and friends and even your chosen family that you're going to choose for yourself. And
Hmm.
there's just so many beautiful ways that everything can show up right now. And it's 1313 because I use military time right now. I love that. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I'm excited to see how our kids continue to evolve and grow and loving
Yes.
them with each time they
Each
change.
chapter, each
Each change.
shift.
That's right.
Yeah.
And just like I love you the same way.
Love you too, friend. Always.
I
All
know.
25 versions of you.
Yes. And guess what? I'm not promising anything, but I can guarantee you 25 more are coming.
Same.
Bye.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode today, be sure to subscribe and share because what do we say, baby?
Sharing is caring.